Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the March 11th, 2025 meeting of the O'Fallon, Missouri Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Elder?
Present.
Mr. Hester?
Present.
Mr. Kester?
Present.
Ms. Paul is absent. Ms. Snyder?
Present.
Ms. Williams?
Present.
Ms. Wilson?
Present.
Councilmember Thompson?
Present.
Councilmember Roth?
Present.
Fantastic. We officially have a quorum. Okay. Jim, you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda, of course, is approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any comments, questions, or edits to the agenda for tonight? I hear none. Okay, can I have someone make a motion to approve the agenda?
Wilson.
Can I have a second?
Williams.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right. We have, our agenda has been approved for this evening. Okay, so next item on that agenda is approval of the minutes from our January 14th meeting. I guess, did we not?
No, we didn't have one last, we just talked.
Okay, that wasn't an official meeting last because we didn't have a quorum. Okay, I was going to, it's like, wait a minute, I'm getting older, but I'm pretty sure I was here last month, so, okay.
I don't think you were.
So I did get those. Did everybody else, well, it's been a while, but has everyone had a chance to see them? And if you have, do you have any comments, additions, or corrections? Hearing none, okay, can I have approval?
Wilson.
All right, can I have a second?
Snyder.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, fantastic. The meeting minutes from January 2025 are officially approved for the record. Okay, next item on the agenda is citizen comments. Do we have any tonight? We have none. Okay, all right. Moving on. Divisional reports. So we're going to start with the Parks report.
Excuse me, that would be me. My name's Bob Deerduff, and I'm the Landscape Division Manager for those who may not know me. Sitting in for Bill, which I think he's on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean right now. So, anyway, so I thought I would change how this presentation goes a little bit. I put together a slide presentation, and I think the people in the back are going to bring up my PowerPoint. And I also gave everyone a handout. What is in gray is highlighted because Jeremy thought it was noteworthy. And I thought the one thing that I should mention out loud is athletic fields are beginning to open. People are getting hungry to be back outside again. So take a look and see if it's open. You might want to check the website before you drive all the way out to where you want to go. But we do have signs on the fields that indicate which fields are open and which ones are closed. Spring is a challenging time, so don't automatically think it's going to be open. So a couple things. As Jeremy put this together, he also had some photographs that I don't know if you've seen photographs in the Parks report before, but I thought some of them are interesting. People in photographs make the photograph interesting. So here's something that the Parks Department does that you may not know about. This is a safety breakfast. You see the room, the guys are all sitting in there, and they review the safety problems, accidents that occurred the year before. It gets a kind of a meeting of the minds where everybody can talk about it and evaluate it and decide whether or not they can do something about it. We had one in particular, we had people who would constantly drive up on the trailer before it was securely hitched to the truck. And we ruined probably 3 tailgates until we had a meeting of the minds and had this safety where we could go through and massage the process and then make sure that everybody was following. So there's a lot of merit to have them in there, but in their defense, I think that was after they had just finished the second round of snow plowing. So they didn't mind being inside talking about safety for a couple hours that morning. And you can see our park rangers are in there with them to discuss more. At the athletics fields, we're not going to switch slides yet, but the quotes are being obtained to replace the awnings on the front of the stadium that were damaged in the hailstorm. Everything's moving its way up the list now, and that list of what to fix first. Synthetic field was put down, and I know they unrolled it today at Ozzie in the batting cages. I'm not sure I'm ready for that slide yet, but let me turn the page. Sports park. We have a delivery of a robotic paint striper, which might seem peculiar. So
You say robotic,
Paint stripper, oh, okay. Okay.
paint striper for painting the soccer lines,
Right, for
football
the
lines.
field lines.
And I thought that I might get some faces like that. So here's a video I had queued up that we can probably watch. I don't think there's any sound to it, but this is an example. I think this is actually the one that we have what's called a subscription to this piece of equipment. You go out on the first time and set up your GPS reference point, and then the machine goes around and starts to mark the field. And then it stores it all on your phone or your iPad. And next time you go out, you set it up and push the button so that the person who's in charge of the striper that day just needs to make sure it doesn't run out of paint. And the striper does the rest of the job. Now, I'm sure there's something else probably that would have to be attended to. Obviously, battery charge if that goes down.
That's neat.
But it is pretty cool, and I thought a video would be better than just me trying to explain what this thing's going to do. Now, at the end of this video, it shows a guy sitting in a chair drinking coffee. I don't think we're going to do that. This part of the video shows them trying to stretch strings and mark the field, and that's the most time-consuming part of this. And you could argue and say that, well, that's after one time, you just follow the lines from before. But then the savings comes in every time you mark that field again, that person can go do something else. They can put the nuts on the goals or string trim or whatever needs to be done, rather than pushing the paint striper. So I thought that would be interesting to see.
did you,
Does it, sorry,
no, you go right ahead.
does it stop if it runs out of paint?
It probably has some type of sensor in it. I'm sure it does. Jeremy could tell you more, but it is fascinating to watch it. And
Yeah, it is.
But did you say it's subscription based? So we pay like a yearly, monthly?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I don't think we purchased the machine. I think it's the machine comes with the subscription, which gives you the GPS links and all that. But Jeremy will know more. If he's here at next month's meeting,
Sure, yeah.
he might have more to tell you. But I thought the visual of it actually in motion was probably worth showing. Westhoff Park, Field 5 had some vandalism. Some people came out, thought they would have a little fun in the snow.
Have cameras been installed there yet?
Well, that's a great question. And right here, when we get to that slide, the O'Fallon Police Department was able to track down the alleged perpetrators, is what Jeremy called it. This is damage to the fence. The vehicle slid into the fence. There was more than one vehicle. There's a lot of tire rutting. It's pretty rough. That's just a dramatic picture of, yeah. And then Westhoff takes a beating all the time. Passive Park, Civic Park, construction, the maintenance facility, Tim Schneider's team, the project team, they are in Civic now working on the bandstand. They're pulling off the siding and the roof, and they're doing all that in-house. You can see the lift we have that they brought on site to, they are really going at it. They went out there as soon as they could get out there after the snow melted, and they're pushing hard to get done. It's going to be great. It's nice. New lighting, new wiring.
Knew everything.
Yeah, and it's probably time. Tim showed me a few photographs of some of the sheathing that need to be replaced, and I'm sure they were expecting that, but it's evident that it was past its time, yes.
So the footprint is the same size, it's not getting larger, correct?
Same structure,
Yes.
a new facelift, pretty
All
much.
those plants around the outside are going to be unharmed?
He keeps wanting to cut them down, and I tease him and tell him, go ahead, cut them down. We'll plant something better.
Hydrangean.
But he hasn't cut them down yet. That's what the magic of the lift, you can get on top of everything. At Fort Zumwalt Park, staff is collecting logs that can be laid out along the trails to try to keep some containment. We are having trouble with the activity in there with people walking, playing Frisbee, walking on the trails. Heavy rains cause that material to migrate. So we're resourcing some of the trees we've cut down to try to make some containment barriers. O'Day Park, facility maintenance is working on some quotes for epoxy flooring in the shop. That will help keep the shop cleaner. Small engine repair, going full strong. Oh, sorry, forgot about this one. Also at Zumwalt, celebration of lights. This is before and after photos. On the left is before and on the right is after. A place for everything and everything in its place. Nobody objected to doing this when it was 5 degrees outside. So we found a perfect window of opportunity to have the guys do something productive inside, which should probably have a return on this amount of effort in the future, year after year. So that's the parks report, and if you have questions, I'll try to answer, but if I can't, we'll get back to you, or we can talk next month.
Are there any questions?
I just have a question a little bit about you.
Ooh, you have to,
Your landscape man?
yeah, I'll tell you that next, when I do my landscape report, and it'll all
I
clarify.
promise you it'll be a great presentation.
That's fine, thank you for asking that. I'll explain that next, what my role is here in O'Fallon.
Well, I appreciate you putting a little extra effort in here tonight.
Sure.
Thank you. So double
more
duty
fun.
tonight, right?
Thanks,
Your pictures are really helpful.
Yeah, they are.
great.
Okay.
Should do that more often.
I know, that's the problem.
Put no pressure on them.
Now they have to.
Setting the bar high. Okay. Craig, do you have a presentation for us?
I do not.
But you do have a report, I know that.
But I will tell you what Bob does for the city. The recreation staff, we're really just trying to get ready for a lot of spring and summer things going on. Part-time staff has been a huge focus. It's in full swing. So far, things are doing really well. We're really happy about the kids we're able to get on board. And it's great getting them on this early. We've got a lot of time to work with them and train them. The senior fair has 24 vendors so far.
29.
The senior fair has 29 vendors so far, and the applications will be closing soon.
Closed now.
They're closed now. The senior fair is on Wednesday, March 19th, so I think it's going to be another great one, and Darcy has a lot to do with that, so I appreciate her effort on that.
What's the big Fred?
It's at Trig,
Okay.
yeah. Birthday parties at the Renaud Center are really going crazy. We've had really 2 very strong months, and we're starting to organize the Alligators Creek birthday party bookings. Outdoor concessions will open soon. We had the first couple tournaments, didn't have enough teams, so we didn't have those tournaments. So we actually have a new person in that role, so it's actually bought us a little bit of time to get her trained and get her up to snuff on that. We have Kristen, our manager, who's really been doing double duty with what she's doing, so it's actually bought us a little time. Speaking of that, she's working on some new sponsorship partnerships, as well as new opportunities for some very large projects for our programs and events. She's getting together all marketing organized for the year, so once things take off, we're ready to promote. The February dances were a great success. And it's the Enchanted Evening, which was a Willy Wonka themed dance, and the Twilight Twist, which was a Candyland themed dance. Great turnout. People just loved it. We made some changes from last year, you may note, and things went really well. We've changed the format for our swim lessons. We got some feedback from some of our participants, and we've changed them from a 6-week to a 4-week class, so essentially monthly we can run those. We feel it fits a little bit better with the way people are scheduling their kids and the way things are going. So far, since the first of the year, things have really been going well. So we think we may have hit on something there. Summer camp registration opened on March 1st for residents and members. It's a big time for the front desk. They have a lot of signups. Swim team opens up. We have camp coming up. It's a big time for front desk to take on a lot of patrons trying to sign up for things. The March 17th is when non-residents are available or can start signing up for camp. Spring break camp is March 24th to 28th, and as of this writing, there's a few spots available left to register. Let's see, we have a new session of tumbling and taekwondo that's just begun. It's got really good numbers. And then we have just started a new program, or a new session of Rec Explorers that'll run this month. I wanted to have a quick shout out to Darcy Skillington, who is for our Missouri Parks and Recreation Conference back in February. She won the Emerging Leader Award for the association. We were very proud of her. And then Carolyn Fuchs won the Aquatics Distinguished Service Award. So it was nice to have a couple award winners with us. And then I just want to, Darcy's been helping us out. She is the recording secretary and staff liaison to the Senior Resident Advisory Committee. And she is helping John Gorham, who will be our new recording secretary for the Parks and Recreation Board. And I'd like to just flip it over to John. I can't see John, but I'd like to flip it over to John so he can just take a minute or two and tell you about himself.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. So, as you mentioned, I'll be taking over for future meetings as the Park and Recreation Board recording secretary. As part of my duties with the office and membership recreation specialist position. A little background about myself. I'm 24 years old. I grew up in Wildwood, Missouri, attended Lafayette High School, and I have a bachelor's in sports management from the University of Missouri St. Louis. As of last April, my wife and I are OFallon residents. We have a German Shepherd named Major, who's almost 4 years old, and later this summer in July, we're expecting our first baby, so looking forward to that. But very excited to be here with you all tonight.
Welcome.
Welcome
Glad to
aboard.
have you.
And congratulations, Darcy.
That's all I have, Scott.
Okay. I have one question. You mentioned a new program. It was called Recreation Emerging. It's one of the last ones you said. I was just curious what that was.
Oh, Rec Explorers?
Yes.
So we have a space down at the Renaud Center that we've kind of transitioned into a new space. It really focuses on like STEAM learning. So we haven't done classes before. It was kind of a drop-in area. But we've set up some classes, so it's kind of a STEAM learning process for kids.
Okay. What young? I'm assuming at pretty young ages, or
I mean, elementary school age.
Yeah.
Even into some middle school, but yeah.
okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right. Okay. Thank you, Craig. I appreciate that. And then the last item for our divisional reports is, of course, tourism and festivals.
Good evening, everyone. This is the time of year that we are doing a lot of logistics and planning and making sure all of our contracts are getting ready for the year, because once our season really gets ramped up, we're just holding on for the ride. So we need to make sure everything is done and ready to go. Everything will start really starting up here at the end of May, and then we just keep riding that wave until about September. only to have a little bit of a break before we go straight into celebration of lights. So with that said, our spring events that are coming up is going to be Whiskers and Wags. That's coming up that first Saturday of May. That will be at Civic Park, and it is from 10 in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We're working once again with vendors who are selling or providing pet-style services. This is an open event for two-legged and four-legged friends. There will be non-for-profit agencies that will be participating again this year, and it is bringing awareness to the pet adoptions, where they can go if someone is looking for a pet. The pets will be out as well. And so far, we have 11 non-for-profit agencies signed up to participate. The police department will come out and do their demonstration and education of the canine units like we have done for the past couple of years. That is always a big, big hit for all those who are coming. And it's also very much an educational piece as well, so people can understand how they work and how they play. So there's a trick show that is currently being booked as we speak. I'm still learning about this piece right now, but it's finalizing. So we'll still have, last year we had some disc dogs that were doing some tricks that way, but this year we've got a little bit different twist on it. Jammin', all of our contracts have been signed, and we are updating the website as we speak, getting those band bookings done and ready. That will start on that Tuesday following Memorial Day weekend of that Monday. Still working on finalizing our food vendors and things of that nature, really for all of our events. With that said, our vendor applications for the Heritage and Freedom Fest, those did open up already this month. I know those are going strong, and they're starting to get reviewed and actually put in place as far as vendor locations go. And we've also booked some of those like sideshow entertainment type pieces. So this year we are doing a NASCAR simulator. So there will be an actual full-size NASCAR that people will be able to get in and drive it as a simulator. And then there's also standalone simulators that would just be underneath a tent where you could stand and you know, provide a, you know, the simulation of going like a drag strip, like I know what I'm talking about with cars, but here I am. I've seen it on TV. So we do try to put in an art piece as well, because cultural arts is within tourism and festivals. So we try to do that each year. This year we finally got a glass blower. That is something that we have been going after for a couple of years, and we did find somebody who would come out. The hope is they will be demonstrating the pieces, how to create these pieces, but then we also get to keep these pieces. So we're hoping to be able to add that to our art collection as well, and have them on display at different, you know, parts of City Hall, maybe down at the Renaud. We'll see what we end up with and kind of go from there. So, and then finally, our parade applications will go live on April 7th. So that's coming up as well. And that's about the extent of where we are at this point. Very much a logistical and, you know, just getting all the contracts and agreements going and everything set up so we can just pull the trigger when we need to pull the trigger. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
So I assume, Jennifer, that you're going to have all of us on the board at the NASCAR races for to test it out first, right?
Come on out.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that one.
Yeah, sounds like fun. Any other questions or comments? No? Thank you, Jennifer. It's good to see you again. And like you said, you and Bob and Craig and Bill, you guys are about to get real busy here the next month or so. For sure, yeah. Okay. Well, that concludes the divisional reports. Move on to the next item of the agenda is old business, and I don't think we have anything on the agenda under old business, unless I'm mistaken. So, all right, moving on. We got 2 items for new business. So, Jennifer, you're going to give us an update on, again, tourism and festivals. I'm assuming it's going to be a much broader presentation. Then, Bob, you'll be up next.
Can I close this? Sure. Great. All right. Hopefully I can open this up. Bob's taking over everything.
That's Bob.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. Okey doke. There we go. So I just wanted to take a moment. It has been a while since I have been here to provide updates, and there's been some changes within our department. So I wanted to take a moment because there are some new faces, and I might be a new face to others as well. I wanted to give you all an opportunity to kind of meet our team, and because we have had some changes since the conclusion of last year's Heritage and Freedom Fest. So there's also been some changes in positions, same people, but in a new position with a little bit more responsibilities as well. So with that, I would like to go ahead and just quick background on everybody. My name is Jennifer Hoisington. I am the festival manager here. I have been the manager since 2018 to present. I do have a degree in hospitality and tourism management from Parks College of St. Louis University here in St. Louis. And I started with the city as part-time, looking for something to do back in 2013. And I'm still doing, so I found something to do. Next, I'd like to introduce Jenna Wyszynski, and she is now in the role of a festival coordinator. She did end up bumping up into this position at the midpoint of last year. And she has been with us from 2022 to current. She does hold a public relations degree from Central Missouri State. Mariah Davis, she is new to us, but she has been with the Renaud Center actually prior to coming to tourism and festivals. So I'm saying she's been with us since 2024, that being tourism and festivals, but she has been with a recreation team, I want to say, for at least a year and a half prior to that. So she is familiar with what goes on in the city. She has a degree in natural resource science and management from the University of Missouri. And Brittany Sievers is new with us. She is our cultural arts specialist, and she has been here since 2024. I want to say it was July of 24 to present. She holds a BA from DePaul University and an MFA from LSU. She is extremely talented and has brought a lot to our department. Something to kind of give you an idea of who does what, because some of these roles have changed, and as far as when we're talking about certain events, maybe who might be managing those events. I just call it a piece of the pie, and everybody's got to have a piece of pie to be able to create everything that we do. So myself, I oversee our portion of recreation, which is tourism and festivals and cultural arts. I would be focusing on operations, our staff, event management, and just the future of the department. Where are we looking to go to next? And, trying to just plant some of those seeds. Sorry, I stole something. And as far as pieces that I take on as a main lead, that would be the Heritage and Freedom Fest, which is our 4th of July event. That is a 4-day event. And my concentration is mainly over the organization, the logistics, working with all the different departments within the city, but then also working with the main stage, the fireworks, and the carnival, and then getting all of those agreements together with all of the other suppliers that we would be working with and making arrangements, anything from light towers to hand sanitizers, so the whole gamut of all of that. Jenna is the main lean for Celebration of Lights, and she has been doing that now, I guess we're going on year 3. She does all of our local band bookings, so everything for Jammin' and our other various events that have bands. She would be the one who's doing the research, getting those contracts, setting up the logistics of who's available on what date, because we do have 10 dates just in Jammin' alone, and then another sprinkling of events on top of that. She handles all of our Heritage and Freedom Fest vendors, which is a lot. There is also the logistics of that. She's basically my right-hand person when it comes to this. She knows as much as I know, because we have to divide and conquer when it comes to everything loading into the venue in a very small window of time. I call it the dance, and you have to coordinate. We're the choreographers of it, and we are trying to choreograph this so people aren't stepping on each other's toes when they're all trying to load in, so we have to stagger how we do that. And then she's also the main support for our parade each year. She does oversee Mariah and Brittany as well. And Mariah will be overseeing all of our vendors outside of the Heritage and Freedom Fest. So all of our other events, such as Jammin', food truck events, tree lighting, Whiskers and Wags, all of those. That is what she will be taking care of, and including the vendors who may be selling a product or a service or a craft of some sort. So she works primarily with our in-kind sponsorships for our VIP area for Heritage and Freedom Fest. She actually also, I didn't put this on here, but all the signs and the banners and everything that you see throughout Heritage and Freedom Fest, letting people know where to park, where to turn, how much something is, where to get to, handicapped parking, fireworks times, whatever, that is all her. She does all of that signage, and it's its own feat right there. And then Brittany, she manages all of our O'Fallon Theater Works. We have 4 plays that take place each year. We also have 3 galleries that she brings art into. One is here at City Hall, one is at Renaud Center, and then the other one is at Krekel Civic Center, easy for me to say. And she also oversees Shape of Community. That is our sculpture series that rotates roughly every 18 to 24-ish months. And she does that call for artists, works with the Cultural Arts Commission, and they figure out which pieces would be a good fit in various places throughout the city, and then working with the Parks Department to get those installed and the concrete pads and such. And then she also does all of the programming that's related to arts through the Renaud Center as well. Finally, just a few little fun facts. I truly feel I have a 5-star staff. They are amazing, they are talented, they are creative, they are hardworking, and they can just get it done. They put their heads down and they go to it and do what they need to do, even without asking sometimes. They just know what to do. So a little fun fact about me is I love to play pickleball. I love to work out, travel, and cuddle with my fur babies at home when I need to relax. Jenna, She also likes to cuddle with her fur babies. She's a big sports enthusiast. And then when she's not doing that, she's always trying to convince her husband to go on another vacation. So Mariah, she's an outdoor lover, hiking, backpacking, camping, hammocking, that. And she loves her dog, Rosie. She's adorable. And Brittany has been working in higher education. This is the first time in probably about 7 or 8 years that she is not working in higher education. So she's getting a whole new experience. She is a sculptor of clay. She loves to go in people's yards and dig it up. So she's always asked me, she's like, do you have any good clay in your yard? I'm like, I have no idea. But you're welcome to come dig to your little heart's content. So just something a little bit fun about us, a little bit of information about our team and what we do for the city. And if there's any other questions outside of the presentation, I'd be happy to answer those now.
Questions, comments?
I I just wanted everybody to know that Brittany has a display at the Renaud Center of her art. So you should check it out.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yes, thank you for saying that, Teresa. So her pieces that she's created are on display down at the Renaud Center. So it's an opportunity to see what her skill set is and then also kind of meet the artist who's bringing the art into the city as well. So it's a nice combination. Thank you, Teresa, for bringing that up.
Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah,
Sure.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Actually, two very easy ones. First one, all the vendors, because it's a lot, I've often thought, my goodness, this is a lot of work just to coordinate this. I'm curious, do a lot of those vendors repeats, or how hard, like what's the effort like trying to get vendors into all of our events?
Well, it really depends on the event. And so such as Heritage and Freedom Fest, there is, that handful of core people that had come back year after year because it may be local for them or it's on their route because that's what they do for the summers. Yeah. They just travel from one place to another to do the sales. The other piece of it is a lot of non-for-profit organizations, Boy Scout groups, things like that are local. They'll want to be able to come back and participate in that. But it's also just as many people who are returning. There might be more that are new. So people are aware of the event. We have the event posted out on a variety of different websites. A lot of these concessionaires know each other because they see them in different places. And then they'll start asking and speaking with each other to see, where are you going? Where have you been? What's your experience with this place? So on and so forth. And a lot of it is routing. So, it may be nothing against us. It just may be that we may not fit in their routing. But we have not had any issues with filling anything with the Heritage and Freedom Fest. Oftentimes in the second week of January, we're already fielding questions either about parade applications or vendor applications. So the other ones, we do have a database of all the people who have participated with us in the past. We let them know it's coming up again when those applications open up. But then it's also posting on social media and other avenues of letting people know, maybe like the O'Fallon update, the electronic e-newsletter that goes out as well. So little mentions like that. So we've been pretty fortunate. Because a lot of our stuff is well established and it has its reputation.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
And July, the Heritage and Freedom Fest, obviously it's a pretty big
Yes.
date, so
Yes.
people are going to be selective. So
Correct.
I've often felt pretty good when you go up there and you see all the vendors that we have. It's like, okay,
Yes.
you could be a lot of places around July 4th,
Right.
if that's your business, right? And so
Correct.
Here's
And we have the crowds that come in to support it.
right.
And
Yes.
clearly,
yeah.
that's very, very important
course.
to a vendor who's coming in, as that's part of their livelihood.
And
Yes.
I'd like to add that often work the shuttles and often will be driving the vendors. And I get consistent comments from the vendors saying that they really like to work our event because they think that we go an extra step beyond to try to make them comfortable and happy and help them with shuttling and things like that, that a lot of places don't do. So most of the comments that I hear are from these vendors. They come back, they like to come here to our city, and they like our event.
Yeah, and I had an opportunity to work the shuttles last summer, and I did hear several vendors comment. They were just amazed that we were giving them rides and being very accommodating to them. They were thrilled. So, okay.
And that's thanks to your staff.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
absolutely. Like I said, we all have a piece of the pie, and we got to put it together. So,
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer.
thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Okay, Bob, landscaping.
I didn't know there would be pie. All right, I got to wake my computer back up here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I think I'm on. Landscape division. To answer Jim's question, anytime I meet new people who don't really understand what is the landscape division, we are under the Parks Department because we do grounds care. But the city owns a lot more property than just parks. So for example, the landscape division takes care of the stadium grounds, the Renaud Center grounds, the City Hall campus, Justice Center. Those are more glamorous ones. Some peripheral ones is down on Highway 64 by Cracker Barrel, the big OFallon sign. Another one out at DD. And we also do the less glamorous things like the wastewater treatment plant. We take care of that. We do the mowing. We cover about 38 square miles of this and that, which includes mowing right away. We have a two-man crew, they go and they cycle every 2 weeks, Golden Gate Bridge painting process. They just keep mowing and mowing. So that's what the landscape division does. Now, I do have staff that is specialized with horticulture knowledge. So when there's something in a park that needs more than just the general, a lot of times we go in. So for example, tree pruning or planting landscape beds, come up with the design if there's specialized care for that particular planting. So that's what we contribute to the city. But it's springtime, and we are interested in flowers. We have been lucky enough to have the city council support our greenhouse. We own a greenhouse. We grow about 16,000 plants in that greenhouse every spring. I'm going to show you, Jim. I'll show you where this is all at. So you're like my straight man on this. So landscape division, go ahead to the slide. This is a photograph of last year's greenhouse crop. It was ready to go out the door on this particular day. So I love to take photographs on that day. We've been working this week in particular with flatting out the product on germinating seed and getting the greenhouse in a month to look like this, and then we'll be ready to go outside. So annual flowers is really what I'm going to talk about. So this was last year's hanging baskets. Kathy's got a smile on her face. Everybody says, oh my gosh, they were so great. And I do appreciate all these compliments, but I don't think I can outdo what we did last year. I'm hoping I can make something just as good, but it was really good last year. So
Weather too, Court.
it was all just right. And I hate to say this, I will though. There's a mistake. We made a mistake. So if we can go back to that slide, the pink, the light pink in the top wasn't the original plan. There's geraniums in the top, and then the darker pink petunias underneath. Well, the geraniums started to look bad around Mother's Day, and I panicked, and we had these other lighter pink petunias. And to save myself, we put more plants in the top. And it turned out to be the best display ever because that's Vista bubblegum petunia, and it climbed up over those geraniums, which made them even bigger and more massive. So lucky for me,
One of the few times I made a panic move and it paid off. So
They were gorgeous last
thank you. They were good, I have to say. One of the best compliments I ever got was when the school district called in August and said we had to take down the hanging baskets because the school buses couldn't see the oncoming trains. So I knew I had some good baskets that year because you couldn't even see the trains coming. All right, so the big question is, how do we decide what we're going to do? And this process begins in about the month of August. We go through all of our plantings and evaluate what worked, what didn't work, what should we try again, what should we save and plant again the next year. Holy cow, that was not good. All right, get back where I was and watch what I'm doing. So the first thing we talk about is color combinations, and that seems like, all right, what colors go together? How is this going to work? So here we have a white, orange, yellow. How can you go wrong, right? As long as they're all hanging in there and nice and vibrant, that's a very eye-catching display. And these are down on the highway areas, so people only get a glimpse of them as they go past at 65. So it doesn't have to be a very detailed display, but it has to be bright and eye-catching. So how do we do it? So we do it on the computer first. We will try to come up with a concept. So for example, the photograph on the left with the mix of the pink and white and the darker pink, that was a concept. And then from what we know about how to grow whatever it is that does well here, we'll go through the internet and try to come up with something that will recreate that. So that's what the other 4 photographs are that we could possibly use to do that display. Here's a second one. The photograph on the left was the concept, and then we tried to come up with what plants could make that. And then here's a third one that we have put together. And probably to Kathy's, she's going to be upset, but this is what we're going to put on Main Street this year. This is there's no color. She said, if it's not pink or red, Kathy doesn't. So this was my choice. You can see the purple one I added to try to weigh out whether or not I wanted that in there, but I know I could hear you talking to me while I was doing this. So we're not going to. It's going to look like the photograph on the left for this year. So we'll try to mix up our presentation so we're not doing the same thing over and over again. But there's other factors, combination factors to consider, not just colors. So for example,
Those look good, by the way, Bob.
oh, thanks. Yeah, this is.
The woods, and it looked good the last 2 summers.
Thanks. I didn't want, I shouldn't have cut you off, but this is, for those of you who don't get out, this is down Highway K. Down Highway K, when you reach, there's Royal Springs subdivision with the 2 lakes at their entrance on the right side, and there's a Taco Bell and a Quick Trip, and you go down Fallon Parkway, and that puts you in front of MG Elementary School. So we have these big bowls out on those islands. It's all traffic calming type thing. And we have more compliments from,
Yours have been really nice.
well, thank you.
I'm going to take some credit for that.
Yeah.
Remember I made a comment about I'd seen that our neighbors next to us here, east of us, it's in front of City Hall, they had the big, what do you call the centerpieces, the big vertical pieces in that display, Bob?
Oh, the canna, that's a canna flower.
Yeah, and I'd mentioned that, how cool they looked, because they had a similar, they kind of got a little bit of a similar there as you turn into their City Hall there. And I'd mentioned it, and lo and behold, the next spring, there they were. It's probably coincidence, but they have, the last 2 summers, they have looked fantastic.
Well, that's nice of you to say, because what we trended toward was a more tropical look, which
Yeah.
really, the residents there nicknamed that Pineapple Alley when we had the yellow cannas, because it looked like a big top of a pineapple cut off. Last year we had some other plants in there, some alocasia, like an elephant ear type thing. But we did get many compliments on that. So other factors to consider. Well, I can think faster than I can talk. The crew does these choices. They want to take ownership of it, which is when you make the choice and you are compelled to deal with whether it was a good choice or bad choice, instead of me saying, you're going to plant that. And it's like, well, I knew that wasn't going to work. So we're dealing with managing the people in addition to trying to come up with this. So I have some rules. Number 1 is 3 different species. Don't plant all petunias, because if there's a problem with the petunia, you have nothing. So put a coleus in there or a sweet potato or something else that's going to be there in case the petunia fails. The other factor is we need similar sun and shade requirements. You can't mix up plants that have different needs. Similar watering requirements. You can plant sun patients and water them every day, all day long, and they'll look great. But if you plant them with lantanas, the lantanas are going to end up dead before the end of July. So they have to be compatible that way. And they also have to have similar growth habit. And you can see on this particular photograph, is why I added it, the white petunia and the purple petunia are having a good time. They're fighting for space, and one hasn't surrendered to the other. That green coleus is above them, so it'll never fall victim to the aggressive growth of those two petunias. But you have to make sure you're aware that they're going to, we call it boxing, that they're going to box each other for space and they're going to all make it. So those are other factors to consider. So what I was going to show you is when we're making these choices, no, that's not it. Let's go to this one. We don't take these decisions lightly. We want to make sure we have bulletproof performers. We know we're going to be great, but when the guys come to me with their presentation, they have better gone to, like for example, this one on the website is Penn State College of Agriculture, and they do these trials. And this is a petunia that's going to be in the Main Street baskets. It's called Saffron Finch, and if you look at the ratings, it has a 4.83 out of 5. And you can look at the different dates of June, August, September. It looked good all summer. And across the bottom, you can see them individually. That's the individual flower. So we want to make sure somebody else agrees, somebody who knows maybe more about it than we do, that this is going to work. Bulletproof type things. Okay, back to.
What else is going to be with it?
Go ahead. What was your question? Want me to go back?
No, what else is going to be with that flower?
This. We'll bring the presentation back up. The yellow, white, and the saffron finch, which is the one I showed you on the Penn State image. And then this chartreuse sweet potato will be in there with that.
Okay, we'll see.
How do you keep, I apologize, if you're okay with questions right in the presentation.
Sure, that's fine.
How do you keep the sweet potato from just taking over everything? Because I have,
Buy the right.
personally, I have the problem.
You have to purchase the right one. And that, no, and it's you're right, Scott. We planted Marguerite sweet potato, and we had to go and weed eat it down because it was overtaking the bed. We've also gone in with hedge clippers and gone after them. Coleus, we go in and chop down coleus with hedge clippers because eventually we get so big they'll break and then your display is ruined. So to trim them in a proactive way to keep them down, like trimming a hedge, really.
So you just got to keep them trimmed.
Sweet potato, there's a series, it's called the Spotlight series. So imagine this big, broad light, and then you're bringing it into a spotlight. So that's the genetics they put into that plant so that it doesn't sprawl and cover everything and you're not compelled to get your weed eater out. Well, there is a huge improvements in plant breeding. Proven winners, of course, they must have hired everybody from Disney's marketing department to get them on the map because they dominate the entire horticulture business with their wonderful introductions. Anyway, not a commercial for proven winners. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Spotlight.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I just know you put them in a pot with other things.
The Spotlight series.
Seem to like
So
dominate.
don't go to. There are places you can.
Yeah.
There are places that specialize in greenhouse production that you can buy these from.
Okay.
Not just the general.
Yep.
You got to go find them.
Okay, I'll tell
Maybe make a phone call. So I tell the crew, don't come to me with one concept. You have 3 concepts of what you want. And then we will put them all out and we all sit down, just what we're doing right now, assess what has been presented, weigh out the horticulture needs. We all come to an agreement. And then we agree on the final combination of whatever Dave puts 3 on the table, and we pick that one, is what we're going to do for this particular property that Dave takes care of. So he's vested now. He wants that to be great. He's going to keep an eye on that and make sure it's as good as it can be, because it's his choices, and he's responsible for its success. That's the way I try to get these. And then there's a little ego bruising, because, you know, guys get their feelings hurt too. You know, they didn't pick mine. All right. I know it's hard to believe. Okay, back to the slides. This is, I'm going to give you some, like probably the big 4 here. This is what we're going to plant at City Hall. Hang on, get that a little bit bigger for you to see. This is what we're going to put at City Hall. And this was one of Dave's choices. It's a blue vein petunia on the left there and a purple, so that it's a purple and a vein purple, the purple throat. He also tried to switch it with some curry spice coleus. That's the one on the top left. And then the other one is, it's a type of millet. It's an ornamental copper something. I should have left the names on there. So that's City Hall. And the stadium is another big, bold one, like I mentioned up at the clip sites at Cracker Barrel. You see it when you're going either to the stadium or driving past at the crossroads there, or maybe when you're walking over. Tom didn't spend a lot of time trying to get his proportions of his flowers. These look like great big sunflowers. They're going to be smaller than that, but the colors are there. And the one thing that'll be unique about this one is each one of those tall purple-looking things is a sweet potato called Solar Tower. And we're going to put 8-foot tall trellises, and that sweet potato will climb that trellis. So we'll have about 24 on top of the hill and a couple others at the.
Where's that gonna be?
That's at the stadium,
Baseball.
the Carshield Field.
Oh, I'll see that all the time.
What's that sweet potato called?
Solar Tower. Renaud Center, this is another one that Dave put together. And I had mentioned that we recycle plants. So what we're doing, we saved the elephant ears from Legacy Point's display last year, and they're going to be put in at the Renaud Center. And this might not sound like a big deal, but you have to be careful where you put them, because they'll get as tall, 6 feet, whatever tall, and then the sprinklers don't cover. So before long, we're caught trying to hand water something, and we made a new problem for ourselves. So Renaud Center works because the sprinklers spray from all sides. We'll be careful where we plant these, make sure they're in the middle. So when they get hit by sprinklers, it'll drop down. Everything will get watered. Civic Park, we've done this before, similar to this with, we've surrendered to the yellow, which is a rudbeckia. It comes back from seed. We can hardly stop it. So we just figured we'd make it part of the display. Austin also, he wants to put some of the elephant ears in there. And the Vista bubblegum pink across the bottom is what was in the Main Street baskets. We're recycling that. And then the red was at City Hall last year. It's called Dragon's Breath Celosia. And we got a lot of phone calls about that one. We didn't expect it to be as dramatic as it was. So we thought we'd use it again. That's being grown from seed. Main Street baskets is what I had mentioned. This is what they're going to be as far as flower combinations. And then a surprise. So this was 2 years ago on Main Street. This is a petunia called Color Rush. They were really good. You can see when I talked about plants fighting with each other, that green sweet potato at the top barely made it out by the end of the summer. It just couldn't fight. So Main Street, from the railroad tracks down to Pittman, is new Main Street, new concrete, new light poles, new presentation. So we wanted to get in on this. So we're switching to a new design of hanging baskets. They won't hang from chains anymore. They will be on the pole on a bracket.
Really?
And go around the perimeter of the.
So the basket will have, it'll be replaced by this wraparound design. 360 around the pole.
So that's from Pittman to,
It'll be from Pittman to the railroad tracks. This,
and then from the railroad tracks down the same.
we'll put the old ones back out for one more time. And then in 2026, we won't have any out north of the railroad tracks. And then for 2027, we'll go to this all the way down Main Street.
Oh, wow.
because they're going to tear the poles out. That's phase 3 of the Main Street project. So, a little bit of the technical part of this.
I watch it, I see them every day.
So the technical part of
On the-
these,
On the sidewalk there, Bob, or something.
these are wonderfully engineered, these trays. I don't know how much they're being used in the United States. When you go on the internet, I see photographs of them in Europe in many, many places. But if we can go back to the slide presentation, you can put as many in a stack as you want, and almost until the pole falls down, I
That
would
way
think.
they get
right?
their own little area to.
So there they're on the pole, and the way it's built, they nest in the top of each other, and they drip into the one below it. So it helps with the watering of the whole structure because they're all stacked together. We have some, and we put them out just to see what it was going to be like. Much to the objection of our engineering department, said, we're not ready for that yet. And I said, well, we kind of need to get ready. So I got special permission to put them on there. And they were just little quick clamps.
See what it was gonna.
Yeah, we'll see what it looks like proportion. These poles are like probably 5 to 6 feet taller than the other poles. So proportionately, it looks a little small on that pole.
Yeah, but by the time you get the flowers in there.
Yeah, it'll billow out quite a bit.
I think we should just run it down the entire pole at some point. Just,
You can, and that a
pole
lot
probably
of
can't handle it, right?
a lot. Well, the pole, the weight of the array sits on the concrete, and the pole doesn't hold it. Now, if you're driving, you might not see that, that level. So up, in my opinion, up is better. So here they are. I took this photograph today. These are the trays in the greenhouse, and we planted them yesterday and this morning. So we have them ready to grow out. This is different for us because in the past we really didn't get a chance for that basket to grow and get a big display before it was time to put them out on Main Street. So these are going to sit for about 5 weeks in the greenhouse and get bigger and fatter. And when we put them out, I don't think we'll see any of the plastic tray at all if we're doing it right.
It'd be like good to go on day one.
Bang, put them up and they look great. So the last slide is this new design will provide a unique lamppost display. If someone else sees another municipality or whoever, amusement park with this thing, I want to know. Let me know where you see it. I'm itching to be the only and first one to do this and bring the attention to O'Fallon. That's what I'm interested in. So that's my display. And I brought some of these with me so you could actually see what they're like. Now, these are the 24-inch diameter ones here. I'm not talking into the microphone. The ones on Main Street will be 36-inch diameter. So they'll be considerably larger. But some of the engineering that's made into this one rests on those little pieces of PVC pipe. Pretty much like a wedding cake when you stack one layer on top of the next. And then, of course, you saw the holes where they drip into the one below. It also has an overflow in this little section here by the pole. I got to get back to my microphone. So that you can't really overwater it. We're a little concerned that we have a lot less soil than we did with our other baskets. So we did some experiments of our own. Here, I'm talking too long. Now you're into Bob land. This was designed to fit inside this and allow free water to sit in the bottom with the idea that these little felt strips were going to wick the water back up into the soil. It didn't work. As much as I love the engineering on this is bad horticulture, I think. So what we did, we filled them all the way with potting mix in this bottom reservoir, but what we also did was we got this, it's called polyacromide gel. It's what keeps diapers to hold all that extra moisture. Well, we mixed it in with the potting mix. You can buy it, it's an agricultural grade instead of for diaper. So we mixed it in with the entire profile. That bottom 2 inches or so is going to stay saturated. The problem with the grate was there was an air gap. Even though it had water in it, roots and air, bad horticulture. They have to be not exposed to air, even in that little contained environment. So we reached our conclusion of how we're going to handle it. My biggest concern, I'm not concerned about the performance, I'm concerned about how often we might have to go water. So this is the year where we've been watering on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the last 18 years. That's all we do. But if it goes up to 102 and we have this great big full display, somebody might have to come in on Sunday and water. But it'll be worth it. It'll be great. All right. Questions? Anyone? Yes, Jim.
So around the playgrounds, so I'm concerned about the safety of the children because little children will go over and pick off petals of flowers and leaves and put them in their mouths and eat them. Do you make sure and look at the safety of the flowers and the plants that you put just directly close to the playgrounds where the children are going to be?
Yes, we do take that into effect. There's an adage that says the poison is in the dose. So it depends on how much the child would ingest. For example, a yew has a little red berry on it. The red berry is not poisonous, but that green center is extremely poisonous. Taxus. They make chemotherapy out of it. Taxus. But our teeth aren't strong enough to crack that open. So you could eat one and it would go pass through you, and without cracking it open, you're not going to be exposed to the toxin that's in that seed. So, for example, those elephant ears that we had, you don't want to eat those. They're full of silica, which actually is like little splinters. The Hawaiians eat poi. That's the same thing, but they cook it, which breaks down that silica so that it doesn't cause them any problems when they ingest it. It's their starch product. They can't grow potatoes, so they grow poi. Same genus of plant. So there are different things to be concerned about, and there's some other things that aren't necessarily something to be concerned about. Snake root is another plant that grows native in our woods. Abraham Lincoln's mother died by drinking milk from a cow that ate snake root because that toxin passed into the milk and she drank it and it killed her. So, perils abound. The best thing is to keep from ingesting. I don't think you're going to have any problem just coming into contact with anything other than poison ivy. You'll have a reaction. But I think as far as safety goes, we are way below a threshold of anything to be concerned about. So we are conscious of it, but I think we're in good shape.
Bob, do we have any native gardens?
Yes.
Would you please tell us about them?
Native gardens. So O'Day is a big native garden. O'Day Prairies, we have probably 6 or better acres at O'Day that is all planted in native prairie. I fudged on the process a little bit because some native prairies look like patches of weeds. So I eliminated some of what would normally be found in a tall grass prairie, like big blue stem. Because once you're inside of it, you can't even look around. So you're not really enjoying it. I wanted something that would be waist high or maybe a little higher so you could look out over it. So we've really focused on forbs, which are flowering plants. For the first 2 or 3 years, we wanted those to get established before we put any grasses in there so that the forbs will be well underway before the competition of the grasses took it. So that's one spot. As far as natives, right? Natives?
Do you have to trim that or cut that? Sorry, Teresa, but just the...
Yes, we do cut it, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Instead of burning it. But
is that better to cut it versus burning?
I don't want to burn it. we could burn it, but I don't know if it's...
There's some grass the other day, so...
So no, I don't intend to burn it. We will mow it, but I don't intend to burn it.
What about Krekel Center? That looks very different than the other beds that you've planted.
Right. So what we've been talking about so far is annual flowers, sweet potatoes, coleus, petunias, blah, blah. Krekel Center is all perennials, either from bulbs or perennial corms, rootstocks, whatever. Those plants come back year after year. And I don't know if you recognize it, but that theme at Krekel Center is a purple bloom with silver foliage. That was the choice. That was the criteria to be planted there. If it wasn't purple bloom and silver foliage, we didn't put it in. But everything in there comes back every year. We don't replant that like we do the annual beds, but they still are a lot of work. But planting is not really that much work. It's controlling the unwanted growth that becomes the problem. Crackle.
I have a question. I noticed a lot of the invasive honeysuckle at Sportsman's Park. Is that something you handle, or is that something that somewhere else in the Parks Department handle? Are you guys taking care of that, or how are you guys handling some of those invasives?
We have had a honeysuckle eradication program ongoing for as long as I've been here through our volunteer services. It's very difficult. Almost, I would say it's impossible to try to eliminate it. Now, if you drive to Indiana on Highway 70 and you get past Terre Haute, you don't see it anymore. So there's something about our climate in our area where it's unbeatable. And Bradford calorie pears, you can't stop them. Sorry, it's not good.
A little doom and gloom. Great presentation, as always.
Thanks.
Enjoy it. It's exciting, and I appreciate having the sneak preview. I feel like kind of know something that most people don't know right
Yeah,
now.
that's right. You're the first group to learn about
feel
these
kinda
blue
special.
trays. Yeah.
Okay,
All
any
right,
other
thank you.
questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Good, very good.
Okay, we are near the end here of our agenda. So last item before we adjourn is for the good of the order. And so in no particular order, does anyone have anything they'd like to share tonight?
I've enjoyed the change in the new art and
Yeah.
seeing around. That's been nice to see the art refreshed like that.
Ball fields were in good shape. I know my son was over at Ozzy's last week and said they were in pretty good shape. Outfield, he said it was a little rough, but other than that, he said it was pretty good shape. I mean, nice being picky. But yeah, they look good for that time of year.
Welcome, Keith. Glad to have you aboard.
Welcome, John. Glad you're aboard. Good luck, Dorsey. We'll miss you. And
And congratulations again. That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, anything from anyone else? Any comments, additions, corrections? Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Wilson.
All right, do I have a second?
Williams.
Williams, all right. All in favor to adjourn the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, meeting adjourned.